Welcome to the party. I'm not here right now, but I want you to listen very carefully. These guys are very funny, so pay attention. Enough talk. It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Steve and my co-host is Pete.
Hello.
This episode we're talking about the 1988 film Red Heat, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Belushi.
Indeed.
Previously we had a three-part salute to Swayze, and thus far we've not come up with an idea for what to call these three films to Arnie.
That is true. Definitely drawn a blank. So this is our first film, but we are planning two more, so it will be another trilogy.
So this was my choice, and I said that it was a classic and one that I'd seen many, many times. I could quote most of, I would think.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm keen to hear what you think.
Yeah, well, I've seen this film quite a lot as well. It's another kind of saw it on VHS. I think I've talked before about buying from old video libraries that oversized VHS films. So I bought this. I owned this so I sold my whole VHS collection. So I had this for quite a few years, and I did watch it a number of times. So it's got to be double figures.
Wow.
So yeah. Epic. So I don't know every line. I realise I don't know every line. And there is this big bit of the film I'd forgotten, and there's also people in it that I'd completely forgotten are in it that have gone on to be probably more well known. But we'll come on to that in a moment, I suppose.
Excellent.
But directed and written, of course, by Walter Hill. So a big action movie writer-director. He's done lots of other things.
Yeah, I was amazed, actually. I went back and looked at this. So he's actually done a lot of producing. He seems to have enormous producer credits right back to Alien, and then he worked on pretty much every film in the Alien franchise, including Alien vs. Predator, and right up to Prometheus. Yeah. So he's done a lot of stuff, and he's worked on Scott's one of Scott's favourite television shows, Perversions of Science.
I always, whenever I'm on a train and I see anything on someone's screen I think they don't want me to see, I think of Scott watching that.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, well, let's just say Perversions of Science is the sort of TV show that at first it appears to be a science fiction show. It appears to be. However, it's not the sort of show that you feel comfortable watching in public.
No, the name, when you start thinking about it, the name's pretty apt.
It could mean a number of things.
It could, that's
in
true.
In this case,
it meant what it meant.
Yes. So if you are going to go out and look at Perversions of Science, be warned, don't watch it in public unless you're... watch it quietly.
Quietly at home, in private.
Absolutely. Anyway, so let's get back to Red Heat. Now that we've gone around the roller coaster of Walter Hill's life.
Indeed.
And the composer, do you know who the composer was for this film?
No.
It was in fact James Horner.
Ah, yes.
Who's done lots and lots and lots of things.
Indeed.
All sorts of stuff. So the film kicks off.
It does.
In a large scene that's bulging and quite oily, I would suggest.
True. In a Russian bathhouse.
I've got naked women, a huge, bulging, oiled...
I have here sexy ladies and pumped-up men, all naked.
Absolutely.
Go back to Perversions of Science.
Pretty much. So, it's quite a good segue. So we'll get to see Arnie walking past.
I have
He's wearing a small towel.
Arnie does a Van Damme.
What shows his bottom?
He does show his bottom.
I've put Arnie's naked ass. Yep. He's got big bulges, small towel, and very big hair.
He has got a big flat top. It makes him like he's basically a large rectangle.
He's already like 6'2", and then his hair adds about another 3 inches. So he's enormous.
He is huge.
This is in the peak of his film career. So he was in incredible shape, and he was enormous.
He was. Yes. So it's a cavalcade of nudity. I think is the correct expression. And then people are looking for someone or something, and then these two guys turn up. I'm going to ask you who they are in a second, but he put a hot coal in his hand.
Yes.
And he clothes.
They're saying these aren't the work hands of a proper sort of workman and this sort of thing. And they drop hot coal in Arnie's hand, and for some reason you just let them do it.
And then he punches them out, and the next thing you know, we're out in the snow.
Yes, and I've put Arnie has a fight with Beardy and Wang, not Arnie's.
Is that their name?
I've called the other guy.
You put him Wang. Well, that is actually Tiger Chung Lee is the actor. Do you recognise him at all?
No, go on.
He's been in one film I think we may at some point cover, and one film we have already covered.
Okay.
He's been in The Golden Child.
Oh, right, okay.
And also Blind Fury.
Ah.
And the other guy, you must know who... We've talked about the other guy many, many times at length.
Ralph Muller.
No, it's Sven-Ole Thornson.
Oh, brilliant.
If you haven't heard us talk about him before, I think we've talked about him here, and I think actually we first talked about him on Comic Book Outsiders, I think, when I was covering for Scott. And he's a stuntman and a very good friend of Arnie's. He's been in, I think, like 90% of Arnie's films. He's also been in other things like Hard Target and stuff, but yeah, he's a Norwegian bodybuilder, actor, stuntman guy.
Excellent.
Yes.
So, yes, Arnie's character, who we don't know his name at this point, has a fight in the snow with Beardy and Wang.
Homoerotic snow fight, I've got here.
Yes, rather. It's a lot of sort of punching, but they're still just in a tiny, tiny little tower.
It's cold as well. You'd think,
They'd kind of go, lads, can you not take it indoors so I'm not going to freeze off?
Would you mind if I got my parka?
Or at least some thermal pants.
Well, yes, or these pants that just covered your genitals would be good.
Something, anything. Yeah. As opposed to getting snow on you, what's it?
Indeed.
So, so Arnie gets some information from Beardy on where to find someone.
Does he say his name at this point? I think he does.
No, I think he's just pressing him. Okay. He says, where? Fishburne! It's a cafe somewhere, essentially. He's told him where to find this man, and then Arnie punches him out and leaves him lying in the snow.
Does.
And then roll the credits. And
the credits are amazing.
This is one of the best credits ever, because they're all in Russian. And of course, everybody knows, in order for it to be Russian, all you do is turn all the R's backwards.
That is true.
And that makes it Russian.
But it's like, I think this was the first Western film to shoot in outside the Kremlin.
Really?
I think so. I may be wrong about that. Oh. But yeah, the titles have got the backward R's, and they show a military march at the Kremlin, and I think it's a mismatch of two people. It's a buddy cop film, just from the cover of the video box, you kind of know that. But they do lay that on quite strongly, because at this point we're just basically going Russia, very regimented, army kind of influence, and a Russian hat. He's wearing a Russian hat and a very, very, very... And they talk about his uniform quite a lot later, but it's more like a military uniform, isn't it? The police uniform. Yeah. But I have to say, I was quite impressed. And I think the dialect coach of this film needs some props. Because later, the main villain is played by an American actor. And obviously Arnie, although not American, is Austrian, but certainly isn't Russian. I think, he's got quite a convincing Russian accent.
I think so, yeah.
And he's not known for his dialogue range and his accent work.
True, this is true. But it was good. It was good. So we have the wonderful Russian credits, where I can sort of read them if I pretend the R's are, not just turned backwards.
And then we're in a bar, aren't we, after this?
Yes, the cafe.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Live music.
Everyone's smoking.
Yes.
I've written it down. Everyone smokes. Everyone.
Yes.
Again, I can't get past this every time we do a film now that's in this period. I've just got so used to films where people don't smoke that now seeing them all just freaks me out of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So Arnie walks in with his partner, looks very menacing, shows his badge. Mm-hmm. Everyone gets angry. Big mullet guy wants a fight.
Yes, they accuse Arnie essentially of hassling them, that they're just ordinary citizens and that this is the iron law cracking down and they're being tough on them for no reason. So Arnie punches the man in the face
and throws him across the room. It's very kind of BA in the 18.
Yes, kind of grabs
it's a big guy anyway, and he does that kind of thing where it's kind of one hand on the collar, one hand on the waist. It's like a wrestling move, up in the air. So I'm actually acting it out, which is of no use to anybody. And then throws him across the room. It's impressive stuff, because that's not a small man that he's thrown there. No. And there's a fake leg.
Because it looks like he picks up the guy's leg whilst he's lying on the floor, and sort of snaps it and twists it, and everyone goes, oh, like he's just snapped the man's leg, and you think, God, why has he done that?
Well, because out of shot, Rocket Raccoon has just said he needs his leg.
It's like, really? Do you really need it? Yeah, I do. He's actually just laughing. Very good, well done.
Thank you.
So he pulls the man's leg off, which actually turns out to be a prosthetic leg.
And it's full of cocaine, which is handy.
Cocaine,
yes, which I thought was great. So that's an interesting translation.
At that point, they then start shooting Arnie and everybody.
Big gunfight. Everyone smokes and everyone shoots.
Yes, and Edo Ross, who plays Viktor Rostavili, runs, and they all run, and Arnie shoots people with his giant gun, which is the most powerful gun in the world.
It is,
we'll come back
or is it? Yeah.
I think so. So does Arnie. I'm siding with the big man.
He does.
So Victor runs out, Arnie chases after him, and his partner goes after him as well.
And Victor is kind of cornered by Arnie's partner, and he shoots him in cold blood.
But he tricks him, of course.
Oh, yes. Sorry, go on.
So Arnie's partner makes Victor drop his gun, which he does, and he's like, put your hands up! And he puts his hands up, but what's this? Victor's got a trick up his sleeve. It's sort of a gun on a little sort of, track thing. When he flicks his wrist, it shoots out. And then he shoots Arnie's partner, 3 times, and he's dead. And Victor just runs off into the snow. And that's it. He essentially gets away. But I was going to say at this point, so we've gone through a few scenes already, and everything moves really, really quickly. I started noting this. Yeah. I thought, the scenes move quick, there's not a lot of dialogue, and it just jumps. So straight away we know that essentially whoever this guy was, he's some kind of drug dealer. Arnie was after him, he's already pressed people information, and the guy gets away, and his partner's dead. And then that's it. And you think, oh, what's happening? And then it's suddenly, boom, America. We're in America. There's Levi jeans, there's cars, there's loud noise, there's rock music. And then that's it. It's straight away, it's just flicked. So super quick, very little wastage in this.
It almost feels like pre-titles, even though the titles have already been, but it feels like kind of like a Bond type of kind of pre-credits thing of, here's your backstory with loads of action, right, this is where we are. And so we did obviously mention Edo Ross briefly there, and obviously we've talked about him before, because he was in Universal Soldier.
That's right.
But he's been in a lot of other films we'll have seen, like Action Jackson, The Hidden, and Lethal Weapon. Actually, I think half the cast of this film are also in Lethal Weapon, and Another 48 Hours, but I think Another 48 Hours might be Walter Hill as well. I might have that wrong. But there's an awful lot of people that are in both films. But yes, we go to America, and Victor is in business. Immediately. Yeah, immediately.
It seems like that, but then again, they don't really explain it very well. I think they kind of expect you to catch up. So we see Victor with 2 of his Russian cronies, and he goes into a phone booth, which just...
I know, for the whole of this film, there's so much reliance on payphones.
Yes, so he walks into a payphone, there's 2 together, he makes a call, and... a black guy ducks into the next one and rattles off some information and essentially says, we're in business with, you're in business with Abdul Elijah. Sure. If you can supply the money, we'll supply the product, which I'm assuming is drugs, given that we've just seen cocaine leg, his leg ripped off. And they sort of make a deal and say, blah, 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 you do this, you do that, we're in business. Capiche? Good. Gives this guy half a torn $100 bill. The guy runs off, gets in a car. And then Victor gets in the car and he drives off. That's it. Yeah. They don't expand on it. They don't. It's done. Scene finished.
You don't really know how long has passed, because you think, well, a passage of time must have passed, because to get to the States and set all this up would have probably at least taken a few days, if not a few weeks. But the only thing we've seen on the flip side has been the funeral of the partner. Unless it was maybe a Russian state funeral is that long. It's possible. Sure. But it does, at that point, you do... I mean, it's good in a way. I think if it was a film now, they'd probably spoon-feed you with what happened. But the next kind of 15, 20 minutes, you are kind of piecing together what's happened in the interim, I think.
Yeah.
So we get to see Jim Belushi now, don't we, as Art? We get to see him for the first time.
Our first glance at Art and his partner Gallagher, and Charlie, the Stiff, as I've called him, played by Larry, not Laurence, Larry Fishburne.
Larry Fishburne.
I've never seen him so young.
He looks young, but his character seems old. He's kind of higher up and more kind of straight-laced, but
he's really, really sort of stiff and just sort of by-the-book cop, whereas Art is, I've written down... fun bags.
I've put perving on call girls.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, he's essentially him and his partner are sat in a car with Charlie, and he's looking at some prostitutes, commenting on them, and Charlie doesn't appreciate that. No. So Gallagher got a tip from his guy called Streak.
That's right.
I've written that down.
Streak. We get to see Streak later.
Yeah, and so this is a clean head.
Yes. So one of the people on of the clean heads is on parole, but has broken his parole. But you get the feeling that it's good. I like the way, although they're broad strokes, they establish the characters really quickly. So you've got Arnie's character is very serious.
Yes.
And James Belushi's character is totally not serious. He isn't even. He's already seen as kind of not taking his job seriously by his colleagues. So you know that it's going to be even a bigger kind of cultural difference later, because at the moment you get the feeling this guy is probably like a day or two away from losing his job.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I've got loads of guys, one shooter outside on the stairwell.
Yes, so essentially the three cops bust into this apartment where it's full of clean heads. These are all black guys with shaven heads who shave their heads out of loyalty to their boss. And it was the same guy we saw in the previous scene making the deal with Victor.
Right.
So they all try and run. They'll try and escape. One of them starts shooting, runs out. The cops chase him. The others are cuffed. And Belushi runs right up to him and shoves a gun in his ear and goes, "Go ahead!" Ah! He's really, really angry, and he says he looks like...
You look like Marvin Hagler. I lost money on Hagler.
He's really angry about it. It's brilliant. It's just sort of misdirected anger.
At this point as well, it starts to feel a lot like Lethal Weapon, which is a film that shares some similarities, but it's just because there's suddenly quite a lot of sax music.
Yes, there did seem to be. So yes, it all went to plan. The bust has gone well. But of course, it then goes back to the next scene, which is the payphone scene again with Victor. And of course, the clean head doesn't turn up because he's been arrested. So the deal is off. And some guy starts hassling him, going, "You're even using the payphone! Get out of there!" And this is back in the day before mobile phones, those who don't remember it. And he drives off, and that's it. There's no further explanation, no dialogue. No. Boom, gone.
That's it. But then a message. Is the message just then go straight to Russia at this point?
Yes, yeah. I think it's a telegram.
That's right. Yeah, it is I think it is a telegram.
Even I'm not sure, because it's like an automated typing thing. But it's assumed, so a telegram arrives, and in it mentions the words Viktor Rosta, America, and Chicago, and the little chappie who tears it off goes to see his boss, who mimes Chicago and gangster. Machine gun. They have to essentially take it to Danko, who we now learn that is the name of Arnie's character.
Captain Danko. So you get Art is a massive police stereotype. He's eating a lot. He's always eating, and he's got a very quick mouth. But then Tim and Gallagher are sent to collect Danko from the airport.
Yes, who's essentially going to go to America and pick up Victor.
Did you recognise the main head of the police?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So I should say that when they meet Danko at the airport, Gallagher's trying to be really nice to him and just chat to him.
Yes.
Saying, did you have a good flight?
Yeah. Just one word.
Would you like something to eat? No. Would you want something to drink? No.
Oh.
And Art Ridzik, who's just like, I hate to break up this touching moment, but I parked on the meter. Can we go? And
he said, where did you learn to speak English? Kiev. Oh, like in Chicken Kiev. Yeah, I like Chicken Kiev. We had that at my sister's wedding. It's the kind of lack of culture in this film is quite funny.
It's brilliant. It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yes. So they take Danko into the police station where he meets...
Yeah, sorry, I jumped ahead. I've forgotten that we hadn't actually seen the commander at this point.
Yeah, we should say that... So, at this point we learn that essentially Viktor Rosta has not been arrested because of anything to do with drugs or anything. They don't know anything about that. Only we know. He was essentially driving without a license. He got arrested.
Went through a red light, that's right.
Yes, they realised he was Russian when they saw the Cyrillic tattoo on his chest, and they realised he was actually a Russian dissident, and so he's there to take him and escort him back and that should be the end of it.
Yes.
In theory.
So Danko wants to know where Victor stayed, so they tell him, but you're expecting him to maybe go and check it out, but yes, he wants to go and check in. So he goes into this flea pit. The slimy owner as ever. Did you recognise the night porter as well?
No, I know that.
He's in, I forgot the name of the character. He's in the second season of Walking Dead. He's one of the guy. I can't remember the name of the character, but he's on the farm. He's one of the guys that lives on the farm in Walking Dead.
Oh, right, okay.
The guy who kind of I'm going to struggle now remembering who anyone is. But forget this bit. He's in Walking Dead. Look it up.
Okay, that'll do. But he's a real comedian because Arnie comes up and goes, Danko. He goes, "You're welcome."
This feels like it could have been a scene from Next of Kin or Universal Soldier, because we are what we're finding by doing more of these films is a big trope is a slightly sleazy, humorous motel owner.
Yeah, we had Walter in Next of Kin.
We did.
He was just a weird guy. He talked like that. It was actually quite useful. And then we've got this comedian who thinks he's hilarious.
And then
making fun of foreigners with weird names.
Danko gets to his room, and there's porn on his television.
So what I've written down is he puts coins in the meter.
Oh, that's right.
So this is the same room that Victor had,
yeah.
right? Because he wanted to be in exactly the same room. So he checks into the room, puts some coins in the meter, and turns on the television. And straight away, there's porn on the television. Yeah. And I've written down, guess what Victor was doing in a room by himself in a hotel room with the door locked?
Maybe you want to stay in another room.
Maybe change the sheets.
It's not the sort of place that looks like it's got very good housekeeping. So
get bleach, black light, and clean the room.
So, of course, Danko's reaction to seeing porn is capitalism.
Yeah, I was thinking, wow, Victor, he's come all that way. He's a sort of badass drug dealer. He's, he should be, quite powerful. And what does he do? Sit in his hotel room having a wank.
Well, it's a stressful job.
Apparently.
He's a long flight. He's tired.
Well, that's really pressure from the flight.
But actually saying that, we find out later he got married in the meantime as well. So who knows? Who knows what's going on?
Anyway, then Arnie goes to the police station to meet the Commander Donnelly, played by the wonderful, wonderful actor
Victor Boyle. Who I know. I'm sure you're going to say you know him from something much more geek credible, but I know him from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yes, I also know him from The X-Files.
Of course.
I also know him from a film called The Dream Team. Did you ever see this film?
I think I did.
Oh, you've got... Right, it's not a Bags of Action film, but I can recommend you go out and watch it. It's got Michael Keaton, Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, I think is it a bit like a lighter version of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yes. Okay, it's about these four mental patients
I have seen it.
who go on a day trip to watch the baseball, and whilst they're out on their day trip, their doctor is essentially knocked unconscious and whilst witnessing a crime and ends up in a coma, and they're left to their own devices out in the world for 3 or 4 days, and you've got one of them who thinks he's Jesus, one of them who's a compulsive liar, one of them who doesn't really talk, and one of them is just obsessively tidy and trying to tidy up the world and stuff. And yes, it's Peter Boyle is one who thinks he's Jesus and keeps trying to take his clothes off in churches, strip naked. But anyway, but in this, he's playing Commander Donnelly, he's funny though.
He is still funny, isn't it? Definitely.
He sort of comes in and says, "Look at the fish."
Oh yes, well I know this scene very well.
Yeah.
Yes, so. I'm just going to give a little bit of preamble before this. So he goes into the station, and the first thing is they go, what are Russians good at? Yeah. They're good at chess. Russians are really good at chess. I know. I don't believe that Art's character plays chess, by the way. No, I really don't buy that at all, even on a little computer screen. So he's playing chess, and Danko comes in and gives him a better move. And he just replies by calling him comrade. That happens a lot in this film. Yeah, I'm okay, comrade.
Yeah, thanks, comrade. I got it, comrade.
And there's a little bit of story you find out is that there's an extradition order because he ran a red light. They found his handgun, but he hasn't asked for political asylum, which you kind of wonder why. But yeah, there's a scene, and I know this scene very well, and I'll explain why in a second. But yeah, so Peter Boyle's character basically says, he just, out of nowhere, he says, stress management, you watch the fishes, you water the plants, you listen to some pleasant sounds, you relax. How do you Soviets deal with tension and stress? Vodka. Now, the reason I know this scene very well is...
Yeah.
Years ago, I was a radio copywriter, and for my interview, you had to write a series of ads, one of which was for a nightclub that was doing a vodka evening. So, the scene that I wrote, and this is terrible because I got the job in the end, the scene that I wrote had someone go, I like to watch the fishes and listen to the music and what do you Russians do to relieve stress? Vodka. Come to so-and-so nightclub for vodka night. So I basically stole this entire scene from Red Heat.
For a job? That's what you're telling me.
Yes, in order to get a job writing radio ads. So sorry about that, everyone in the radio industry. I apologise.
Yeah. So Donnelly...
Homage.
Homage, is it? He says that when you're facing down a double bypass...
Yes.
He says, I think it's all bullshit, but when you're facing down a double bypass...
That's right.
You do everything you can. Yes. So, then, essentially they sign the paperwork, say thank you very much, and Danko goes down to the cells to pick up Viktor, and they go through his personal belongings, and he's got various bits and pieces, and he's got a key. And Danko asks him what it's for, and Viktor says something rather unpleasant to him in Russian, which I'm not going to repeat.
Oh,
it's
okay.
a bit nasty. And then he's getting nowhere, and so Ridzik says, what's he saying? He says, you want to tell me what the key is? He says, well, why don't you ask? So he does the classic thing of talking to a foreigner, which is speaking very slowly and loudly. And at that point, Viktor then says something very insulting about Art's mother.
He does. Go and kiss your mother's behind.
Yes, as Danko translates it. And he goes, oh, yeah, okay. There's 2 seconds where he's very, very quiet. And he attempts to strangle and beat the shit out of Viktor, calling him a mother fudger several times.
Yes.
And that's the first one of the film, and there are several mother hubbards in the film.
Indeed are.
And that's the first one. And he goes, no, I'm fine. He goes, that's it, walking out. He goes, you see my mother's behind? No, I've not seen your mother's behind, Gallagher's saying. He's like, well, you'd want to kiss it, you're saying.
But all is not good.
No, you're thinking, well, why didn't Viktor have to physical asylum? Oh, what's going on? What's it all mean? And I've written down, ambush.
Ambush by the Clean Heads.
It sounds like
it's like an album.
Some kind of
live
a band.
Yeah. Yeah, if you listen to Ambush by the Clean Heads, it's really good.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really hipster.
So yes, as they're essentially escorting Viktor out to the car, an armed security wagon arrives and is if to sort of pick up some money bags or something, and all the armed guards actually turn out to be a mix of Russians and cleanheads who shoot various people, shoot bystanders, they shoot and kill Gallagher and try to take Viktor away, who's trying to get the key off Danko, but Danko kind of delays him long enough that Art hears the shots because he was off buying a newspaper, comes running around the corner. He shoots like 3 of them. Kills 2 of them, puts one of them in the hospital, but they get away with Viktor, but not with the key, which Danko managed to grab.
And I think I quite like about this scene is the obvious thing would be for Arnie to do everything.
Yes.
But I think it's quite good because I think if you just had Art as kind of this comedy buffoon, you get quite sick of him quite quickly, and there'd be no balance to the relationship. But here, kind of Viktor's down in a lot of pain, and it's actually Art that, as you say, shoots people, but also it's Art that goes after them on foot. He goes after Viktor on foot.
Yes, so Danko essentially passes out whilst grasping this key that he stole.
Yeah, he crawls along, doesn't he, to get it, and then he blacks out.
Yeah. And then we get a scene where essentially Arnie wakes up, and the doctors are all saying, no, he can't be disturbed.
He's got concussion.
Yeah, you can't go in there and talk to him. No. But he's actually got 2 Russians from home who are essentially chewing him out and saying lots of unpleasant things.
Yeah. And how did they get past?
Yes, the nurse says because they're essentially the closest thing he's got to family.
Yeah. And he hides the locker key by closing his hand.
Oh, what else are you going to do?
Well, I know, but it just seems a bit. I just think, I don't know. It just seems a bit of this amazing hiding place, my palm.
I did write down that for some reason it seems weird. So Gallagher's been killed, but Art doesn't seem very cut up about it.
No, he doesn't seem that bothered at all.
Which I'm kind of puzzled by. I'm still puzzled by it now.
Yeah, it is. It does feel like, I know that you say the film is going at quite a pace, but it does feel like the runtime maybe could be extended by 5 minutes to at least even give him the equivalent funeral that you got from earlier. Or there could have been some, my partner got killed, which you never get.
No, you don't. Yeah, because Arnie's partner, he went to the funeral. We saw him at the funeral. But no, we get nothing from Art. It's like, yep, anyway. So Arnie, his Russian chums have essentially said, you've screwed up, you're going home, that's it, you're done. And then they walk out. But Arnie decides to stay around and go undercover.
Yes.
In a giant turquoise suit.
Looking like Gumby. I don't know who Gumby is.
Have you seen what Gumby is?
No, I'm going to look Gumby up now.
Go and look it up now. I've never heard of it.
I've only ever heard it in this film because it's mentioned a lot. Oh, is it the green thing? Is it a long green thing?
It's like a little animated...
Oh, it's like a green American version of Morph.
Yes, but with a weird triangular head, but with the big hair.
Do you know what? Yeah, I can see that it does look a bit like him.
See?
Yeah.
But see, it does look like Gumby.
Yeah. I have to watch it again now.
Yeah. I've forgotten what Gumby.
I think he calls him Gumby at least 6 times.
At least. Yeah. We should probably do the Gumby drinking game. Anytime someone calls him comrade, anytime
he says Soviet when he corrects somebody for calling him Russian.
Kiev.
Yep.
God, the Red Heat drinking game would be lethal.
It would.
Half a dozen things and you'd be on the floor.
Would.
Anyway, so he decides to stick around and work undercover. if a 6'4" man in a turquoise suit with a giant flat
and a Russian accent,
a thick Russian accent,
and a gun can be undercover.
Yes, he decides to stick around, and Commander Donnelly is trying to find a way to live with it.
Yep.
And Charlie Stobbs comes in and runs down Victor's rap sheet because suddenly they've found out that he's not just a Russian.
No,
slightly naughty
he's
guy.
kind of the Russia's most wanted, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, right? They run down Victor, but also his father's crimes.
Yes.
I like this. They're going, he's done this, he's done what of this. Brigandage. What's brigandage? And they stop and just look at Arnie, and he explains, and like, raping and bullying our villagers. Does that still happen much in Russia? It's like,
no, but it did in the past.
I just love the fact that it's still on there.
Yeah.
Brigandage? Yes, so
they're not happy that Danko has kept from them how important Victor is, which he keeps an awful lot from them in this film. I like the fact that he never kind of breaks from that. He keeps everything close to his chest. But he basically says he won't leave America without...
I'm not leave America without Victor.
And he needs their cooperation.
Yes, but Donnelly's kind of got around it. He's saying, look, Art's a fuck-up. He's really going to mess up at any point. If he does something wrong, well, he's going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
If it goes really badly, I can blame Danko and say he's a Russian. He doesn't know what he's doing.
A Russian and a fuck-up, so nothing will ever come back on the department.
Yes.
And then...
So Danko has stayed to get his man.
And do we go and meet Streak now?
Yeah.
Okay, so... before they go to meet Streak...
It's very important.
It's very important. Art decides to tell this joke gets... thrown back to at least 3 times to explain to him about the Miranda Convention and the fact that you can't even touch his ass. This is such an on-the-nose
I did not want to touch his ass.
I want to
make him talk.
Which is the most on-the-nose joke I think I've ever heard, but it is still very funny.
But the good thing is, though, later on, when someone else does that joke, he says that to him. I was waiting for him to do it again, but they don't.
No.
So it shows that he's kind of doing a little.
And, of course, the Streak is played by someone who's been in many, many, many films. Breon James from Fifth Element and Tango and Cash. One of those...
Blade Runner.
Yeah, the Blade Runner, of course. So Danko starts to hurt him, gets told not to, and then Art plants some heroin in his pocket.
Yes, he attempts to he says, it's capitalism.
I think he offered him money and then put that in his pocket. So then Danko grabs him and basically breaks his finger and then says, Soviet method is more economical.
And he's saying, you can't do that. Miranda goes, it's okay to put drug in pocket. Well, no, but I was getting there.
I've got here, I must have only just realised his hair. He gets the info and has an awesome flat top.
The hair's really, really come up into you now.
It has. That seems to be a running theme. You notice the smoking and I notice the hair.
Maybe you should...
bags of smoking hair.
Maybe you should grow a flat top.
I did have a flat top, and from the age of 14 to 16, so it could well be, when the film came out, I possibly had a flat top.
You didn't have a mullet, did you?
Let's talk about something else.
Wait, Pete.
I didn't have a mullet. I had shoulder-length hair, which I used to wear in a ponytail with a number 1 undercut underneath.
Moving on. So, we essentially learn that the drugs were coming from Abdul Elijah.
Indeed, the leader of the Clean Heads.
Danko says, well, where is he? And he goes, oh, well, he's in prison. So we're going to go visit him in prison. And I've written down, more bulging men with bulging muscles lifting...
Before we go in there, is it the shitting on you line? Because I think he kind of said, so where's their leader? And he's in prison. And he goes, I'm not shitting you. And he goes, I am not shitting on you.
I don't know, but he does take things very, very literally.
Very literally. It's like the...
I don't want to touch his ass. I want to make him talk.
So do we start to get the buddy cop dynamic now, I think?
A little bit.
A little bit more. And he's explaining, which again is kind of the ludicrousness of reality, but he's explaining, in prison, the gang leaders, they get to meet loads of people and they can run their operation from there. It's great. So, well done. Hooray for America.
They go into the Clean Head playground, which is just... ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. There's all these guys, and that you've got a tan little dude sitting on a chair above them like a throne.
And he has hair. He does not have a clean head.
No, the rest of them have all shaved their heads to show their loyalty. And goes, I guess it doesn't. He doesn't need to do it to himself. So the kind of guard comes up to us. Hey, we need to see your Boy Scout leader. To this giant black man. He goes, who are you? Oh, I'm Ridzik, and this guy has come all the way from Russia. He goes, oh, no, that's right. He goes, the guy says, this is Captain Danko. He's come all the way from Russia to see your scout leader. He goes, that's nice. Who the fuck are you? And he says, they have no respect for the police officers.
That's right.
He's like, of course they don't.
So he gets to meet Abdul, and they have a bit of a chat. And he threatens his testicles.
Well, it's weird, because Arnie's trying to feel him out. He's trying to work out
good segue.
Who he is. Probably not feeling it. We'll have to say the word testicles. So he's trying to work out what kind of a man he is. Yeah. But the weird thing is, despite being quite intelligent, Abdul's a bit of a mad case.
Yeah.
Because he's educated and smart, and he says he educated himself in prison. He spent more of his life in prison than outside. And he's saying, well, if you don't tell me what I need to know, one day you'll wake up and you find your testicles floating in a jar next to you. He goes, I'm a holy man. I don't need my testicles.
He said, okay, then I'll take your eyes. And then
your eyes.
He takes off his sunglasses and shows that he's blind.
And Abdul's like, you can't threaten me, white boy.
And he talks about exploiting the black man and his agenda. He's selling drugs to all white people to political ends to help. So he kind of... I got a bit confused at this point, Steve, and you're cleverer than me, Simon. He's kind of making a deal with him, which we do come back to later. But I can't work out the motivation really from either side. He's basically he talks about the key.
Yes.
And kind of, if you give me Victor, I'll give you the key, which I guess you'll get your money, I suppose.
Yeah, he's essentially saying that he doesn't care about the deal. He doesn't care about the drugs. He doesn't care about the money. All he's willing to do is he'll give him the key if he just tells him where Victor is, and he's like, well, I can't do that. That would be unethical. And
I guess the reason that Victor keeps that from Art is because the American police would want to bust the crime that's happening there, whereas he can just go, I just want this guy, I'm not really interested in the other thing.
Yeah. He just want to take... Arnie just doesn't care. He wants to take Victor away because he's the problem. He knows there's drugs in America. He knows there's crime in America. He's talking to the head of a crime organization in prison who's still incredibly successful outside of prison. It's like, right, okay.
I think it shows as well, because you think up to now, really, that Danko's very straight down the line, but it's not necessarily straight on the line staying within the rules. It's straight on the line. He's so, blinkered on one end goal that he doesn't care about any of the things on either side of him.
No, he'll do whatever is necessary and doesn't really care that much about everybody else.
So he goes in. I think he goes back to the car then, and Art's just kind of like, how did it go? And then there's a scene which I find quite funny because the alarm goes off on Danko's watch. What's that? It's time to feed the parakeet.
No, because he says, is it time to choke Pokey?
Yes, that's right.
No, time to feed parakeet. Is that what you call it in Russia?
Is that Russian for jerking off? He talks about jerking off a lot in this film. Also, Pokey, I've now seen, is Gumby's horse. So that's a clever...
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, okay. That makes sense. I just thought it was slang.
It could be that as well. You think parakeet is feminine? That is my favourite line of the film.
But it comes out of nowhere. I'm just thinking, hang on, he didn't say that. So does that... Why did that come from? So I'm thinking, hang on, someone's obviously said this to him before.
Yeah.
Probably in Russia. And then he's a bit, he's a bit concerned about it. That people think he's a bit effeminate because he's got a parakeet.
It's true.
And I was like, hey, no, there's nothing wrong with parakeet. You got a parakeet? My sister got a parakeet. I don't care.
And in fact, you get an awful lot of backstory about his sister in this film. So she can care about her wedding. She had a parakeet, and later you do actually meet her ex-husband. Yeah. And now we see another person I'd forgotten was in this film. Gina Gershon.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not quite sure how we get to her. I haven't just watched the film.
No.
I'm still not sure how we get to her.
I think at some point they mention her name, but then it just kind of cuts to her dancing.
Oh, that's right. Whilst Victor was in prison,
she visited him.
He had two visitors. One was a Russian of some kind. No, I think one was something to do with the clean heads or something to do with the Russian. And the other one was this woman. I'm thinking, well, who's she? Why is she visiting Victor in prison? She's got some kind of connection to him. And so they go to find out what she knows about Victor and his business.
Yeah.
And she's a dance instructor.
She is.
Woo!
And quite a good one.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know why I thought that or why I said it.
Oh my God. I've written, all of them seem to have their pants over the top of their sort of lycra.
Yeah.
I don't understand. No, I'm just not getting it. Why would you have your pants outside? It's the era of leg warmers.
It is.
And yet, none of them are wearing leg warmers. They've all got just sort of leotards.
Maybe it's just the point that leotards. Maybe it's the crossover, the point where the leg warmer went out. I don't know. So it
was a new fashion that's never caught on because it was shit.
So they start to talk to her, and she basically explained she had. There's a passport. There's a passport and $500 bill.
Yes, that's what Victor told her to fetch
from his old room. That's right. Go to his old room and get his passport and $500 bill, which is how the cleanheads and him were kind of. You put a $500 bill in the door of the payphone, wasn't it?
Yes, he tore off half and gave half to the cleanhead.
And then they're kind of asking her, "Why, help us with this, help us?" She goes, "No, Victor's my husband."
Yeah, which kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah. I was suddenly thinking, oh, she's just like his girlfriend, or she's been doing something. And she said, "No, he's my husband." I thought, ooh. Right, so she's not giving them anything.
And then James Belushi's character then comes out with a strangely misogynistic line, which I know earlier he was a bit pervy, but he just goes, "I'm going to bust that bitch so hard she bounces." That line didn't feel like it was required in any way. It was frustrating that she wasn't telling them what she wanted to know, but I don't know. Again, it's a sign of the times, I think, but that seemed to be okay to say that.
Yeah. The weird thing is, just after she's done the dance class, she starts smoking.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
that's true.
I don't get it. So they decide to follow her and therefore hopefully get her to lead them to Danko. To Victor. So they go and sit outside in the car, and Art goes off to get some coffee and something to eat.
Again, it's very Point Break in other films where one partner goes to get food, another one stays in the car. But yes, he's basically, honk if you see something.
Yes, and we get the callback joke to Miranda at this point.
A guy turns up. "Give me $50 to park here, or I'll smash your car up."
Yeah, this is, "Do you know Miranda?" He goes, "Never heard of the bitch." So Arnie just punches him in the face and knocks him out.
In one go. It's great. A great moment.
But for some reason the guy just says, "It's my car parking space. You can't park here. And if you don't, I'm going to smash up your car." I was like, wow, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
It is.
and friendly with his baseball bat. Just comes out, and I thought, good on Arnie.
It's the days before the clamp was invented, obviously. So it was
like an off-duty. Is that what you're telling me?
I think so.
An off-duty traffic warden.
I think so.
With a bat.
So at this point, I've put down good balance of humour and action. So there's quite a lot going on, and it's still pretty funny. And then Gina Gershon leaves, so Danko decides to follow her by pulling away in the car very quickly and spilling coffee over Art.
Yes, and Art at this point makes several jokes. I've written them down.
Yes.
Let's have a look. He says, the coffee burned off his dick.
Yeah.
He's pissed, looks like he's pissed his pants, and the hot coffee has hard-boiled his nuts.
Yes. The Art's character makes an awful lot of references to his own genitals. Possibly 30.
There's quite a lot of references to balls, cocks, and testicles in general.
Yes.
And we already had testicles in a glass and eyeballs in a glass. So, a very spherical film.
It is. So they follow the taxi that she's gone in. And he's like, hey, think about the insurance. There isn't no insurance. In socialist countries, the state pays for everything.
We get a lot of this. We're already told about how great the school is in Kiev, how it's taught him everything. It taught him how to drive, it taught him English. I'm trying to think of anything else it does. How to drive a bus later on.
And here, he's kind of like, as they're driving along, he's like, if it's so good in Russia compared to here, why have you got the same drug problem we have? He's like, because it should be like China, where all drug dealers and users are shot. Well, the politicians here would never go for that. You shoot them first. That's his drug policy, is shoot all politicians, then all drug dealers and drug users.
Yeah. And they'll get rid of the drug problem. Because nobody wants to use it or sell it, because they're all dead.
Indeed. So they're chasing Gina Gershon. I can't remember the name of her character, but let's just call her Gina Gershon. Is it Pat?
Manzetti.
Pat Manzetti. They're chasing Cat. That makes more sense. Cat Manzetti. Cat Manzetti. Okay. They chase her, but it's a trap.
Yes, so essentially she's arranged through Abdul Elijah to have a meeting with Victor on neutral territory.
Yes. But
to try and sort out their problems.
They pull over and the cleanheads get out and walk towards them with guns. And here's a nice racist thing, where Art goes, look, it's a pro basketball team.
With guns!
Like, So they get him to put the guns away. But actually, that's quite a funny moment, isn't it, with the gun?
Yeah, they say to give up their guns, and Art's like, a Chicago police officer would never give up his weapon. And they all just sort of cock all their shotguns. And he's like, yep, there you go, have a gun.
Thanks very much.
Take it, thanks. Yes, so Danko goes off to have a one-on-one chat with Victor, and Art's job is very important. He's going to be the hostage.
Yes.
Because if he doesn't come back, everything's all okay. He's going to shoot Art in the head with his own gun. Which is not a good way to go.
And, Kat Manzetti, is that right, has had enough of this macho shit, so she runs off.
Yeah, and she essentially just leaves them to it. She's like, I've done my job, that's it. I'm out, bye.
So Danko's taken down a ramp to see Victor. The guns are on Art, so he can't hear or see anything. And then it's like, you killed my friend. Well, you killed my brother.
You killed my brother.
That's very good. You have the same dialect coach, I imagine, as both of them. So yeah, the two key...
Get to the chopper!
Nice. So he wants the key, and he's willing to pay him 10 years' salary. Now, to me, this is the first really unbelievable bit. I think, you've been fighting this guy's been after you for a long time. You've killed each other's close people, family, partners, whatever. He's followed you to America. He's massive, and he's very straight down the line, and you're trying to pay him off. It just didn't... I know, you could say that everyone's got their price, but I didn't think that seemed very believable to me.
No, Victor's obviously desperate.
Yeah.
He says, if you had my gun, I'd shoot you, but I can't. They took it off me as well. So Victor's desperate to do anything to get his key so that he can buy... he can use the money to buy the drugs to set up his business in America, and he's trying anything. He can't threaten or intimidate him, because there's no point, because he's got no family, no friends, he's only got the job, he's already killed his partner.
Yep.
So the only thing he's got that he can offer is money. And he essentially says, I'll give you as much money as you want, but there's no bend.
No.
There's not even a little bit in Danko.
No.
He's the law. And that's it. So he's like, no deal. And Victor says, you are stupid. And that's it. And then they go their separate ways.
Yeah, this scene, to me, I'm always like, if Victor didn't think he was going to get it, and I know they kind of arranged it in the prison, but what was his reason? What was Abdul's reason for setting this up? Because it's not necessarily going to help him. It's a scene I've always found baffling.
Well, he claimed to be a peaceful man, despite the fact that he's a leader of a gang of maniacs who are around shooting people.
So maybe he thought if he could pay him off, then that'll be that. And get his money, that'll be the end. Who knows? But
the circle of life thing again, you see.
It's true. So
we gave you the option to take the peaceful path,
but you just wouldn't do it. You just wouldn't do it. So they're giving their guns back, and then they talk about trusting partners.
Yeah, Art is extremely pissed having being left there with a gun stuck in his ear.
You never leave your partner with a gun in his ear.
Yes, and he, of course, Danko gave him the key just before this meeting, which he stashed in his pants. So he gives Danko the key back and is very, very unhappy at this point.
Yes. So they head to the hospital to see the other Russian that was put in intensive care earlier.
Yes, the good news is he's coming out of his coma.
Yeah.
So they can go and talk to him and find out what he knows about Victor.
And it all goes a bit Dark Knight here.
I've put it goes all a bit a crying game.
Yeah, true. And I often think in these situations, and I appreciate that, hitmen, maybe certain people are good at their job, but if you want to go into a hospital disguised as a lady nurse, maybe go send a lady. Or go in as a man nurse. But I guess maybe late 80s, maybe it was a time when male nurses weren't really a thing, but I don't know. I watched ER. But the partner guy, I don't think we ever know his name, that works with Victor, has gone into the hospital dressed as a lady nurse.
Yes. Who Art is quite attracted to.
Yes, that is maybe the only reason to do that is for the only reason for that to be the case is to make that gag.
It's to show Art's rage in libido once again. But he bangs into this one by accident, turns around, and they both look at her and go,
When he's not talking...
I knew I should have become a doctor.
When he's not talking about his penis, he's thinking through it.
Yes. So this nurse, this rather sexy nurse, has just come out from seeing the Russian. They go in to talk to him. And what's this? He doesn't want to talk. In fact, he's acting like he's dead. Wait, he is dead.
They haven't seen enough films, these guys.
No. So they realise the nurse is dodgy. They race after her.
Yes.
And then she starts shooting people and runs off, and they chase after her.
But they can't get to her and kill her because Kat Manzetti runs in front. Kat runs in front of her, which I found a bit weird as well.
I did. This is a bit the puzzle to me that she's trying to stop people. She's trying to stop the other guy shooting Art. Maybe she doesn't want to see a cop get killed. I don't know, but it doesn't work because he still shoots at Art and kills. Tries to kill him, but misses.
I think it's strange to me that someone who essentially married someone for money, for $10,000, I think it was.
$10,000, yeah.
And says she wants to get out of it all because it's all too dangerous, has then turned up at the hospital to see and is protecting Art, but also protecting the friend of the guy that she doesn't really know that's come from Russia. Her character's very confused and confusing.
I think so. Yes, yeah. So at that point, Art has to duck out the way before getting shot. The Russian runs off.
But Arnie shoots him very dead.
Shoots him like 2 or 3 times. He stumbles. At that point, I was thinking, okay, he's dead. He's just kind of falling over. But Arnie's like, nope, not taking any chances, and shoots him like 4 more times until he flies through a door, through the glass section of a door, and is extremely dead. Kat then cries and runs off, and Arnie chases her.
But this is a nice bit character moment. Is he lets her go? He kind of finds her and then says. He didn't. I would suggest that you might want to detain her and question her further because she's appeared at the hospital for no apparent reason, so she obviously knows more than you think. However, he decides, just run along, just go, and then doesn't tell Art. So you think, there's obviously a softer side to him. Because
he essentially says, back in Russia, Victor has 10 women like you. You mean nothing to him. he knows that she's just got dragged into this, that she's not exactly completely innocent, but that she's just... He says, "You are stupid," to her, basically. Because she is. She took the guy's money, didn't think about what it would cost her or other people, more importantly, and lots of people are dying and hurt. So he says, run, gives her a chance to escape. And Art then has to have a shot in the arse, a tetanus shot from a very surly nurse.
That's true.
Who has the brilliant sound effect. I'm sure that was added.
I think so.
Because she gives him a shot in the arse and then slaps him. But there's like 7 slapping sounds in a row. It's like, shh. Like, is she playing a tune on his bottom?
I think maybe she's seen the start of the film and thought, "Do you know what? When I get my hands on that, I'm going to attempt to play the Russian national anthem."
But then Art just mutters and curses her under his breath.
So they head back to the station. We find out as an aside that Streak is filing a civil suit for the broken finger. Earlier, we find out that if we hadn't worked it out already, that the Russian guy in hospital died because an air bubble was shot into his vein. And it's like, well, why? Why would they do that? Well, Victor's trying to basically kill anyone who has information about him. Which again makes me think you should really have kept Kat. She might have known more.
I think he probably knew that too, which is why he was giving her a chance to try and run for it and get away from all of this before she ended up dead like everybody else.
So at this point they're in trouble. This is the bit you could see it coming. The point where the kind of department starts to think, well, hang on a second. So they're in trouble for everything that's gone on.
Donnelly's really pissed, and he does that straight line. He finds out that Danko has a massive gun and he's killing people with it, and he covers for Ridzik. He says, "Ridzik did not know about gun." But Donnelly says to him, "Don't fuck with me." And then previously when someone said, touch his ass, he responded with, "I know," but he doesn't say it. So you know that he's not as stupid as he pretends to be. No. He just gives up his gun, but he's not happy about it.
And then Art gives him a gun, the Magnum 44, the most powerful handgun in the world.
And Arnie's disagreeing, saying, "The Russian so-and-so model is the most powerful gun."
Yeah, well, if it's good enough for Dirty Harry...
Who is Dirty Harry?
And there you are.
And then it's got quite a nice scene, actually. So Ridzik's got hours of paperwork to do. He has to do a report on the Cap Commander's desk in the morning. And so they start on the paperwork in a diner.
Yes.
And filling out forms.
They go for food as an opportunity to ask personal questions.
Yeah, it's a bit of chit-chat about their personal lives.
So Victor has no parents. His dad was in the army and he's dead.
Danko,
Danko, sorry. His mother was in the army, as a nurse, sorry.
Nurse.
And she's dead. He has no brothers or sisters.
No.
We find out that Art's dad was a really good cop.
Mm.
And then, this is a nice moment, when Danko orders a tea.
Tea, please.
Yes. In a glass with lemon.
Ridzik's like, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, that is right. How do you know? That's all right. That's a Dr. Zhivago.
I saw Dr. Zhivago, exactly. He said, why don't you go back to your hotel and have a shower, and then we'll meet up again. It's a bit like a date.
get yourself real nice.
Yeah.
And then
freshen yourself
go
up.
out again.
And then the dancer rings him on the payphone. Kat rings him on the payphone.
Well, she's been ringing the hotel where he's been staying every 10 minutes. And so Danko walks behind reception and picks up the phone, and the guy's like, why don't you use my phone? That's okay. No, please, go ahead. Like, just making a local call. And she wants protection.
Yeah.
In return for protection, she will tell Danko when the drugs are coming in.
Yeah, tell him when the drug deal is so they can take Victor, and as long as she's set free, she just did it for 10 grand. And that's it. However, the Cleanheads and Victor arrive at the motel.
Yes, they're essentially spying on Arnie whilst he's having a shower. Well, they're spying on his room
while he's having a shower.
And see him go out.
They look for his name in the book, which I'm surprised he put his real name. He's in the shower, and there's a woman watching TV in another room, in room 302, and her John is in the bathroom. Her John is in the John.
Well done.
Thank you. And they
it's just saying they've seen where Danko stashed the key in the room, and And so then Arnie takes a shower, and I've written, "Whoa, he's really lumpy."
Nice. George, anyone that big in a shower just makes me think of the sex scene in The Specialist.
What?
Yes. Which just,
that's horrendous.
The Sharon Stone and Sly in the shower is just all kinds of wrong.
Oh, yeah, because it's just... Oh, no, I don't even want to talk about it. It's just so wrong.
I don't think we'll ever talk about that film.
Good. Carry on. Yes, but Victor decides to double-cross
he does,
head.
by giving them the wrong room number. Again, that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
I'm not really sure why he's double-crossing them until later on.
Yes.
But at this point, I thought, why? Surely he gets the key, then he gets his money, then he gets to do the deal, and he gets the drugs. Isn't that what everybody wants?
Doesn't he want both? They always want both, don't they, in these films? They want the money and they want their cake and they want to eat cocaine.
And watch porn in the hotel room.
Porn cake. I don't know what that means. So Danko has a shoot-off with the clean heads.
Whilst Victor runs in, essentially grabs the key and attempts to escape.
Yes.
Whilst Danko's shooting clean heads a lot.
Yes.
And there's a nice touch here because the prostitute essentially saves Danko's life.
He does.
One of the clean heads is laying in wait for him, and he's got his back to him, and the prostitute shoots the clean head, saving Arnie, who would have got shot in the back otherwise. So that was quite a nice touch. And Victor sees it all going wrong, he panics, and he jumps out the window into the river.
Quite a long way down.
Yeah, pretty good stunt there. The stuntman just throws himself out and goes right down.
And straight after this, there's a bit that I was surprised happened off camera. Is you find out that cat is dead.
Yes, so you get this little bit where we find out that essentially...
It's actually a TV news report, isn't it? That's right.
So, the police are all at the at the hotel. They're trying to work out what's going on. There's lots of policemen talking to witnesses. There's the guy behind the desk who's complaining about, who's going to tell my boss about this? Who's going to clean this up? Ain't going to be that Russian. You've got the prostitute explaining that she's not involved. She's got a gun for protection only. Oh, here's a bonus for you then. We'll get to see another detective turn up briefly who's questioning people.
Okay.
Did you notice him and any prizes for who he was?
I don't know. No, I don't know. Was it Columbo?
No. But it's one of my favourite actors who's been in lots of stuff. Kurt Fuller, in fact.
Ah, okay.
Do you recognise the name?
I do. I'm just going to IMDb him now.
He's a very, very tall guy who plays cops, middlemen, middle management.
Oh, okay, of course, yeah.
So he was in this. I think that's his one scene in this film for some reason. But he was there. His part is in fact detective.
Nice.
As listed by IMDb.
Oh, he's in Supernatural quite a lot, isn't he?
He was. Yeah. He was in the latest season of Supernatural as one of the middle management kind of team. Angels got to meet him actually. A few years ago at a convention. Lovely guy.
Oh, right.
Very nice. About 6'5".
Gosh.
So yeah, on par with me, which is very nice. And for him too, because you have to bend down to shake my hand or anything.
Sign your chest.
Yeah, in Cyrillic. So, nice. We find out that Kat is dead. She was found in the river. Foul play.
Yes, so of course they go to her autopsy.
Yeah. So, it almost feels like there was a scene cut, really, where she's talked to Danko, found out, told him when the money's coming, or when the drugs are coming in. She's gone back home, and there's a scene almost where Victor, I don't know, either she was trying to run, or she was waiting somewhere and Victor found her, realised what she'd done and killed her.
It's a bit like because he jumps in the river and then her body's found in the river.
Yeah, so it just, there's definitely a scene missing that we don't get to see. It all happens off camera, but it's very, very quick until you see her body on the slab where they go to see it. But Arnie doesn't really seem that cut up about it.
No, she's cut up.
But she was actually strangled.
Yeah. Well, no, her autopsy.
Yes.
So this is the point which, again, in most of these films you get to where, the buddy cops, what are they going to do? Well, Art's going to go back to a desk job, Danko's going to be sent home, and they're not allowed to really work on this anymore now. Victor's got the key, which is
Yes.
pretty much a massive MacGuffin of the whole film. Even though it has a purpose, it's still kind of just gives them something to look for. And this is the silliest bit of the film. A key. Well, my ex-brother-in-law works in a key cutter's shop. And if we go and see him, we could probably work out where the key is for. Now, a few things here. Is it that easy with the key that you haven't got anymore to work out where it's for? And also, they could have done that like an hour ago.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't have had the film
I
to this point.
I know, but it doesn't hold water.
I suspect, so there was an earlier scene where, when he's dropped Danko off at the hotel to have his shower, and there's a brief scene where eventually we see someone at the police station working on giant computers.
Yes.
And Art is typing on a typewriter, no less.
That's true.
Someone goes, for God's sake, Art, check your answering machine messages. And he does, and we hear various things, including one from his brother, who works at the key. Hey, say, Art, no, stop what you're doing, listen to me. I'm here at the key shop.
Yeah.
MacGuffin clue.
Yeah. And he's like,
they laid the groundwork.
And he's not paying his maintenance payments, is he?
Yes. So they've set up key shop, but I did kind of wonder why didn't they go there at the beginning?
So they go there, and he's like, "Look, this key is a key for a locker at the airport."
No. Arnie goes through the books and finds it, and it's for a bus terminal.
It's a bus terminal. Yes, of course it is. I'm an idiot because otherwise the ending would not make any sense.
Chicken with airplane.
It could. That'd be Con Air.
Yeah,
the double ending. Yes, so sorry, it's at a bus place.
So Victor has essentially got the key now. He can do the deal. He goes to the bus station.
Exchanges his $100 bill with his contact. Also, at this point, Art starts to talk about how they need to be sensible, which is quite, again, you see the guy that was gung-ho and reckless, and obviously they're influencing each other, aren't they? Danko is becoming a little bit more human and a bit lighter, but Art is becoming a little bit more serious, so they're kind of meeting in the middle, I guess.
Yeah, so Victor has given the key to his clean-head guy, goes to the locker, comes back with the money. He counts the money and sort of says, yep, that's fine, it's all good. Victor then kills him and takes the money.
You double-crosser.
Yes, I've written double-cross because he waits until he gets the information for where the drugs are coming in on which bus, kills the clean-head guy, takes the money. Then he goes out to meet who's actually a Mexican and gives him the other half of the $100 bill.
That's right. Sorry, I jumped ahead. So there was another deal. There was a deal within a deal.
I think he's essentially trying to cut out the clean heads and just take money and the drugs and run and do the whole thing himself.
So Victor disappears by the buses.
Danko waits.
Then he leaves in a bus. Now, there's a chase in two buses here, which is over the top. But also, I don't know if you noticed, one of the buses is the Toronto bus, and one is the St. Louis bus. So how they chase each other, I will never understand. They should have been going in completely different directions.
Yes, there's a moment where, just before they get in the bus, it looks like Danko is threatening Art, saying, this is a Soviet matter, I'm taking him back.
Oh, that's right, it's who's going to take him out?
And Art's like, no way, he kills a cargo cop, we get him first. And he's like, no, I have my orders.
And I couldn't work out if that was genuine or if it was a way of kind of putting Victor off. But I think it was genuine.
It was genuine, yeah. So Victor flees in a bus, they jump in another bus and chase him.
Bus off.
A bus off, yeah.
And he's going the wrong way down a one-way street. He hits a statue over. I still think, I've seen this film many times, but I always think, I appreciate they were at a bus station and they had buses there, but it does feel a bit ridiculous.
It wouldn't have the same effect, though, if you played chicken on, moped.
That's true. Well, no, you're right. So, they make it over a level crossing, and now it is a game of chicken. Or Chicken Kiev. Chicken Kiev. With buses.
Yes, and essentially Arnie is going to kill Victor by driving his bus
at him
into Victor.
And they both kind of go, they're very...
And Art's going, get ready to swerve. Get ready to swerve. And he's not. He's not going to. And the thing is, right, he grabs the wheel, makes the bus swerve, and Victor's like, ha ha. I'm thinking, hang on, you would have died. Why are you laughing? Why is that amusing that you survived?
So Danko's bus flips over, and Victor's is hit by a train.
Yes. He's laughing so much, having such a good time, he forgot that they went past the train station, and in fact the
But
train...
he gets out, and the driver's like, what the hell are you doing? And then he shoots him. And Yeah, which, you know, I'm assuming he thought, I'm a train driver, you're a bus driver, let's talk this through. Bang. And then you see Danko, and it's a different kind of... The film gets a bit more serious now. He's got blood on his face. Mm-hmm. It looks like it's a much more personal thing now. He's a bit sweaty. You go for it, Gumby.
Look, he says... he says this whole thing is... what does he say? He goes, I give up. This whole thing is very Russian. I've written it down. Because he expects him to kind of get in the way and say, no, we've got to take him. And he's kind of goes... No,
he lets him do it.
I just
go for it, Gumby. And then you get some very atmospheric steam coming from the train. Oh. It feels a bit like a throwback to the start. So it started in the steam of the baths. Now it's ending in the steam of a train. I'm reading too much into it.
Callback. No, it's a good callback, you see.
And then it ends really quickly.
Yeah, Arnie essentially shoots Victor like 6 times.
Yep. Both shoot, Danko wins.
Yeah, somehow, despite being really close to each other, and not being that far apart, they both shoot and Arnie hits all shots and just takes out Victor. And then he kind of walks up to him close and looks at him like, want to make sure? He doesn't do that thing where they go, after being killed. I'm thinking, being shot 6 times with a magnum.
This is not
probably dead.
This is not a film that has someone going, he's not worth it. He's not worth it. This is a film where they just shoot people a lot of times. And then he gives Art back the gun, and Art's kind of like pleased, and he goes, I still prefer the Soviet model.
That's the closest you'll get as a thank you.
Yes,
that's it. It's like, okay then, right.
And then, we've said before that the films of the kind of late 80s, early 90s, they end very, very abruptly. And so we cut to a KLM flight being ready. Okay, Danko's going home to feed his parakeet. And then you get a baseball chat scene.
Yes, where Art's kind of saying, it's our national sport, we of course we're going to win, you've got no chance. But then he recants a bit and just sort of says, it would be a hell of a game. But Arnie's gone back to being his old self because he goes, we would win. Yeah,
well, he's kind of said, we could play in the Soviet Union too, because you play baseball, and it's almost like, I like to think that Art's kind of this moment of, well, it's an American game. Then he's kind of, somewhere in his head he thought, it's called the World Series. How ridiculous is that? Because he said it would be a hell of a World Series if someone else from the world was actually in it.
Another country in the world, as opposed to just
one
country.
And then I love this bit now because it's a custom in the Soviet Union to exchange a souvenir as a sign of friendship. That's nice, They haven't really warmed to each other as much as in most buddy cop movies, but there's still something there. So Danko takes off his watch and hands it to Arnie and goes, I'm going to do the same thing. This is a $1,000 watch, and he hands it over. And then he looks at the one he's been giving, and this is a $20 one.
East German watch.
and then you get the world's cheesiest on-the-nose line where Danko goes, and this is obviously very telling of kind of the late 80s and Cold War and everything. He goes, we're police officers, not politicians. It's okay to like each other.
Yeah, which just sounds really weird.
It sounds really out of character. It's almost like, right, if you're going to make this film and shoot in the Kremlin, we require the following line to be added at the end of the film. It just felt a very kind of keeping people happy kind of line. Didn't feel in keeping with the rest of the film much.
No. I mean, throughout the film, Arnie's been the kind of trying to paint Russia and the Soviets as one thing, and he's been very clear about showing that they're not, and they're something else all the way through, which is probably why they let them film outside the Kremlin, because they thought they'd make fun of it. And while they are, in some ways, the other character is completely backing it up by saying, no, we're different, we're good, we're advanced, we can do this, we can do that. I can drive buses, I can speak English. But that just sounds so out of character. It was just like they had to tack something on at the end.
Yeah.
But, anyway.
And it's one of those films, it ends ridiculously abruptly. It feels like it should have had a sequel. I don't think it actually did that well. It wasn't one of the more successful ones. It's not one of the more talked about Arnie films. Looking here, it's the budget was 29 million, and in domestic it made 34. That's obviously a profit, but it's not, kind of gangbusters thing. But yeah, I'd heard before that there was rumours of a sequel, and I think it felt like there maybe should be a sequel, like in most of these films, the other way round,
right?
Where he had to go to Russia. But the film was mainly a success on home rental. It did much better on video than it did in the cinema.
But then you get normally you have sort of freeze frame endings, or you have fade to black, but you get even better on this. This is probably one of my favourite double take end moments, where Arnie sort of said goodbye. He walks a short distance away, turns back round, and he starts to salute, and then it cuts to a shot of Arnie in the middle of Red Square with the Kremlin behind him in full Russian uniform, saluting again.
Yes, that's right.
For a couple of seconds, and he walks out of shot.
That's the quickest plane. That's the quickest plane flight in history.
It's great. It's a salute and double salute. Yeah, and off he goes. And then you get the Russian end credits with the R's all backwards again.
Did you know? I just the tagline of the film's quite good.
Go on.
Moscow's toughest detective, Chicago's craziest cop. There's only one thing more dangerous than making them mad: making them partners. And it was the first American film given permission to shoot in Red Square. However, the rest of the Russian scenes were shot in Hungary.
All right, okay. Right.
And the film has a cult audience among fluent Russian speakers because so much of the Russian is wrong.
Oh. So maybe your talk of him being convincing.
Maybe not.
In fact,
because the music's weak portrayal of the Russian language and stereotypes, apparently.
Maybe they're suddenly regretting letting him shoot in Red Square now.
Maybe.
We were thinking, we really shouldn't have. They said they'd do one thing, and they just made fun of us. Oh dear. So yes, that's it. That's the end of Red Heat.
It is. Did you ever play the computer game?
No. Actually, I don't know. I did.
Yeah. On the Amiga. I had it on the Amiga.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. I just found the thing. You can actually. There's a 37-minute video of the whole game on YouTube. It was available on the Spectrum and the Commodore 64 and the Amiga, and was in the arcade as well.
I do remember that.
And it does go scene for scene, so you do start in the bathhouse and it does end with the buses.
Right. Wow. So yes, it was my choice.
It was your choice.
So what do you think now that you've seen it again? When was the last time you saw it?
I think it's only about a year ago. I think it was on late on TV, and I think I watched about the second half. And I think that's where I went, Fishburne, Gershon, the man off of F. Bird Loves Raymond. I spent the whole time kind of spotting other people because I'd seen it a lot of times.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some bits in it that haven't really held up. I think the second half of the film is much weaker than the first. I think it sets up something that never quite happens. It becomes kind of relatively formulaic, going after a guy and looking for a key thing. And the comedy probably could either go up a notch or something. I don't know. It could be that I've seen it too many times, that I've become a little bit immune to it because I found myself kind of knowing what everything was going to happen. So I used to defend this film a lot to people who said it wasn't one of Arnie's better films. And I like his humour, his comedy films, and like his straight-on action. So this is quite a nice kind of middle ground between the two, between the kind of Twins and Kindergarten Cop and kind of Predator and Running Man and stuff. So, it's a film that I'm glad I watched again, but I possibly don't like it quite as much as I used to.
Okay. So are we ready to do some scores then?
I think so.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. Shut up, you idiots! It's time to give a score! Do it! Do it now!
Okay. So, given all of that, then what are you
given all of that, I'm going to give it a 3 bags.
Okay. So it's been a while since I've seen this film. It's been a few years. And part of my fear in watching it this time would be that nostalgia thing that you had where you remember it a lot better than it actually was, having not seen it for a while.
Yep.
And that maybe my fear was seeing it this time, I think, it was all right, but it wasn't brilliant, as good as I remember. And unfortunately, that did actually happen.
Oh, okay.
There's some key scenes. So I remembered most of the film. I remembered the action scenes and some of the lines and some of the jokes about him being like Gumby and, you know, the stereotyping of Russians with the vodka and the chess and all this kind of stuff, and the chicken Kievs. So I think it would have been a 4-bagger.
Yeah.
But one of those stars is, one of those bags, if you like,
yep.
is
deflated.
Is nostalgia.
I think that's exactly the same process as me.
So I'm actually only going to give it 3 as well. Okay.
Well, it's interesting in a way, because I think it's good that this is a film we both had as a 4 before, because I know it a lot. I think we're in the minority on that. I don't know, you know, people let us know. If this is a film that you really, really like, or used to really like, or maybe still really like, then let us know. But yeah, I'm kind of. It's one of those films that I like. It's in the middle. I like it, but I don't probably need to see it anymore.
I mean, it's the buddy cop thing went for a long time. Yeah. We had lots of variations. The best still, although we may get to them.
It's K9.
Probably. I was going to say Turner and Hooch.
We both went for the same gag in slightly different directions.
Yep. The best, I think, is still either 48 Hours or Lethal Weapon.
Or Last Boy Scout.
I don't know. But it didn't... I mean, Belushi and him work fairly well. They don't really get on. They don't become great friends by the end of it, despite trying to be. They still really don't like each other that much at the end of the film. So... I've seen worse. Let's put it that way. But I don't know. It worked up to a point. I'll say that their buddy cop pairing.
Yeah, I agree.
If you've seen Red Heat, if you recently watched it, is it an old favourite of yours? Let us know. That's it for this episode. We'll speak to you next time.
Cheers.
Bye
bye.
You have been listening to Bags of Action. No bullshit. You'd better stick around for the next episode, because if you're lying, I'll be back.